I feel a mixture of like very nervous and very excited to enter the MCU. I think people are gonna really like She-Hulk, and she's very different for the MCU, so that feels very fun to get to bring a character in who has such a different energy. She-Hulk is a lot of things. Mostly it's a half-hour sitcom, but so it's very comedic, but it also digs into all kinds of different genres. It sort of doesn't stay in one place for too long, and we definitely get a sense of, there's the action, there's the sort of Marvel big plot, set pieces kind of element to it. But then it's also like weirdly goes into like kitchen sink drama sometimes, which is very fun. Jennifer Walters is a lawyer, and her career is kind of her whole identity. It's sort of, I think, why She-Hulk is called She-Hulk Attorney at Law is because Jen wanted that there. Jen's like, I'm an attorney first. And yeah, it's incredibly important to her. She loves her job. She loves what she's able to do with her job, how she's able to help people. And it's definitely the way that she has planned her life out. So Jennifer becomes She-Hulk when her and her cousin Bruce, who is the Hulk, get in a car accident, and she's trying to help him out and gets his blood inside of her body. And obviously his blood is hulked up, and so she becomes She-Hulk. She wants nothing to do with this idea. She wants nothing to do with being a Hulk. Bruce is like trying to like bring her into the world and train her, and she's truly the most resistant to it. It couldn't be further from the plan that she had for her life. Jen Walters and Bruce are cousins, but they are closer to like a brother-sister, kind of like constantly taking the piss out of each other, but also love each other very much, kind of vibe. And Bruce sort of, has been in this Hulk world longer than she has, and has a lot of ideas about it, and has gone about it in this very like clinical sort of like psychological way. And Jen shows up as She-Hulk and is much easier with it. She's able to deal with it no problem, and that causes him to be very annoyed with her. So it's a fun dynamic. Mark Ruffalo is amazing. He's an actor who I've always looked up to, always admired, and he was like the most welcoming in terms of on set. He just, he's always up to play. He always wants to be in the moment and find new things, and we improvised a lot, and we found like weird, little digressions off of the script that ended up in the final product, and that's just a testament to how open he is and how playful he is. And yeah, he was just great to work with. Nikki is played by Ginger Gonzaga, who has the fastest brain of anybody I have ever met in my entire life. She's the most amazing improviser, and she brings this incredible, joyful, like recklessness to Nikki that is very opposite of Jen. There's a lot of question around how these two could be best friends, but they do make so much sense together because I think they really balance each other out. And she's also Jen's paralegal, so they work together and they play together. They're always together. They're very much like sisters. And Nikki's always trying to draw Jen out of her shell and pull her into the world and make her take risks and put herself out there, whether that's in her dating life or whatever it is, or owning this power of She-Hulk. She really tries to encourage Jen to live fully. And that manifests in her grabbing her phone and swiping on about 500 guys on Matcher and causing a lot of chaos. Yeah, Ginger is like just the fastest brain in the biz. She is so funny, and I'd been a fan of her before we got to work together. I remember doing the audition with her, and it was so fun, and she's so like dommed me in this great way that only Nikki could dom, Jennifer. Like she really she just ran circles around me, and by the end of the audition I was blushing because it was so because she was just so stunning as an actor and just so fun, and I just felt so alive, playing with her. And she was like, on the Zoom, she was like, "Are you wearing blush?" And I was like, "Yeah, oh, I put on some blush or whatever." But really it was just that I had gone hot. I'd gone heated with the ginger of it all. So Jen gets offered this job to lead a division at GLK&H, which is like this hugely prestigious law firm. And the division she's asked to lead is the superhuman law division. So basically she's, kind of brought in only for the reason that she is a superhero who happens to be a lawyer. This doesn't sit well with her because she's already trying to pretend she isn't a superhero or a superhuman. And feels like very kind of used for that part of herself. But ultimately, she wants to have a job. And she has been fired, and so she needs to take this job. The other curveball that happens is that the first case she has to take on is the defense of Emil Blonsky, who is the abomination who tried to kill her cousin. So Emil Blonsky is the abomination who was injected with super soldier serum and became like a Hulk, but really bad, really destructive, not a good dude. And he's gone away to like a maximum security prison and has been kept there, but now he's up for parole. He's up for, he's up for release, and has asked for Jen to represent him. And Jen has a massive conflict there of interest because he obviously tried to kill her cousin, the Hulk.
Yeah, Marvel is cool in that it plays around with a bunch of different genres, and I think that's what always keeps it really fresh. And I feel very grateful that She-Hulk leans very heavily into satire and comedy, but also still has a bunch of the action and the drama and is really cinematic. But it's cool to be like the fresh and new funny thing in the Marvel universe. I play Nikki Ramos on She-Hulk, and Nikki is rad. And she's very fun and free and fast talking, and she's kind of like the best friend who pushes you out of your comfort zone, but then you don't regret it later because you reap the benefits. Nikki is Nikki's very close with Jennifer Walters. They are true friends who care about each other, who have ups and downs like any friends do. But she's a good balance for Jen because Jen likes to follow the rules and Nikki doesn't believe in any rules and loves to be a little more reckless. So I'm always encouraging Jen to, do wilder things when it comes to dating. Or my favorite thing, obviously, is for her to encourage Jen to turn into She-Hulk, which I'm able to do a lot. So I like to joke that if She-Hulk ever saves the world, let's not forget that Nikki convinced her to do so. Working with Tatiana Maslany was a dream, and so honestly, like everything that I crave as an actor. We had met each other at a party, and we both respected each other's work, and we had said that we would wanted to work with each other one day, and then the next thing, at least, that I booked was this show. So it wasn't hard to play her best friend. She's instantly someone I respect and appreciate and have so much fun with. I trust her because she's very honest and real, and that's what I like. I like really brave, fearless actors. I like to feel comfortable being really brave and free as an actor. So it was just kind of a match made in heaven as far as like, especially two women that are meant to play best friends. It was this endlessly easy thing that was a lot of fun. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite things about Nikki is her wardrobe. I'm sort of fashion obsessed to a fault, so I cared very much about what Nikki was wearing, and they let me collaborate a lot with our wonderful costume designer, Ann Foley. But, Nikki is constantly doing whatever she wants. So if she's wearing something at work, it will, by definition, follow the rules, but really ride that line. We're supposed to wear a skirt and a dress at work. Fine, but it's going to be a bright yellow skirt and dress and crazy shoes, and same with her makeup. So Nikki kind of gets away with as much as she can, and she knows she can charm her way out of a bunch of situations. But also she cares very much about fashion, so she's trying to encourage Jen and She-Hulk to do the same. She can't have her friend walking around in these weird giant suits that are ill-fitting. Like, she still wants She-Hulk to look her best. So I think I pester Jen and She-Hulk to the point of getting her some new clothes. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful to Anne because I am annoying. She's so, we would pass links back and forth. I would go shopping all the time. I'm constantly shopping myself anyways. It's definitely a compulsion. And so I would send like a lot of ideas, and then we realized like, oh, okay, I work in an office. So then we would say, okay, well, if I'm gonna work in an office, it's gonna look like a really cool runway Chanel look. And then Anne Foley has this crazy arsenal of jewelry. So all of a sudden I get to wear a bunch of vintage pearls that are from her grandma. So we would do that, and we would find different, I would find some weird thing to be inspired by, like a disco ball, or I would own a really bizarre glitter thing, and we'd be like, okay, we can wear that as Nikki. So eventually we started really fine tuning like what she wears. Nikki wears a lot of nylons, and so Anne found just, nylons all around the place. Like there's never like a repeat of anything. And so and also with like the hair and makeup looks, we just started calling things by different names. I think I have like one outfit that looks like cotton candy, one outfit that we called funfetti because it literally looks like frosting, that funfetti frosting. So it was just about really like mashing kind of what was required for like the, where the character works and stuff, and then being as splashy as possible, and just spending hours and hours of hours both looking for tons of clothes and trying to somehow get them flown in mid-COVID, during a pandemic with FedEx. Being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a dream. It's surreal, and it's so fun, and I'm so grateful to be in this thing that just requires so much of your imagination and allows you, in our regular life, we don't get to play with magical monsters and creatures and people with different powers. And so with my job, weirdly, I get paid to do that. And I can't think of anything that's cooler. So, and not every acting job requires that. But Marvel is so creative and so expansive, based off of the coolest comics ever, with really wonderful budgets, and so it literally makes all of the impossible possible all the time. Oh my goodness. I hope that when audiences watch She-Hulk, that they will first of all laugh and be entertained and be excited to see characters that they love, and all these brand new characters that are in the comic books that we've never seen before, who are insanely funny. I'm excited for them to see their serious Marvel characters be funnier, but mostly I hope that people feel really seen. I hope they can see themselves in different characters and different narratives. And Nikki, as a character, is constantly encouraging Jen to be She-Hulk, to embrace who she is, to embrace this weirdness and this special power that she has, and this different way that she looks in the world, and this attention that she gets that can be both negative and positive, and yet this power that she has. And Nikki so badly wants Jen to embrace that and own it and be unapologetically herself. And so I wish that for everyone. And so I hope that people absorb what Nikki wants for She-Hulk and kind of become apologetically themselves in their lives also.
My love of She-Hulk developed when I was a young girl, and I saw the cover of a She-Hulk in a sea of male comic book heroes, and I immediately related to her and wanted to be her. And I'm so grateful to be a part of bringing She-Hulk to the modern generation. I think it's about time that She-Hulk joined the female superheroes of the MCU, and I hope she's part of a movement to stop even saying female superheroes and just call them what they are, superheroes. She-Hulk is a real blend of genres. It's very funny and leads with comedy, but it's also got elements of drama and action and suspense, and it also fits visually into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Jennifer Walters is a lawyer, and her career is really everything. It's what she's worked so hard to attain, and she's very resistant to being a superhero because she doesn't want it to disrupt the life that she's created for herself. Jennifer Walters becomes She-Hulk after an accident that accidentally transfuses some of her cousin's blood into her blood. And she feels that these superpowers have been thrust upon her, and she really wants nothing to do with being a superhero. But life doesn't always work out exactly the way you want it to, and she ends up having to become a superhero. Jen Walters and Bruce Banner have a very sibling-like relationship. It's kind of like a big brother, little sister vibe. And when the two actors got together, they had such a playful energy, and we really capitalized on that and let it inform the script. Mark and Tatiana talked on set about how wearing the gray mocap suits with the camera in the face made them feel other and kind of outside of the other actors and outside of the crew. And they really used that to bond. And it's a little bit of, life imitating art, art imitating life. When you watch them together, they are the only two people in the world who understand what it's like to play the Hulk. And the Hulks are the only two Hulks who understand what it is to be a Hulk. Emil Blonsky, also known as the Abomination, is a character played by Tim Roth. And his connection to Jen Walters is an unfortunate one in that he tried to kill her beloved cousin Bruce back in the day. And now she is kind of forced to be his lawyer. Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination, is played by Tim Roth. And Tim brought so much experience and had such a strong point of view about who that character is. And he brought all of that to the screen. Titania is a very evil Instagram influencer / villainess and a new addition to the MCU. Jameela Jamil was the only choice for me. I'd worked with her before on Marry Me, and I knew that she could bring reality to a character that is so out there.
Joining the MCU has been a very long time dream of mine. I've been trying for years to get my foot in through this door. I've had to threaten to burn the studio to the ground just to get to this point. So it's been a dream come true. She-Hulk was always my favorite character from Marvel Comics. And it was really the John Byrne run that made me fall in love with her, because I loved how irreverent she was. I love how funny she was. I love how lighthearted and fun. There was this levity to the comics that was like a breath of fresh air, because traditionally superhero comics are, pretty dramatic, very action-oriented, and sometimes can get very heavy. It's a lot of serious men dealing with serious issues. And so it was just so fun and refreshing to see this, hilarious, sassy, 6'7" green woman who was saving the world, but also making quips, and not taking it too seriously, because it also felt very real that somebody would deal with, it felt very human that somebody would deal with trauma and a scary situation and, adrenaline with humor. And of course there was the fourth wall breaking that I loved. And I love that she would argue with John Byrne. I love that she argued with Renee the editor. I love that she made fun of, comic book tropes. She-Hulk is a legal comedy, and people can expect just that. 30 minutes of fun, funny, law-related stories, but also really at its core, the show is a story about a young woman who is a working professional who is trying to deal with all the different aspects of a normal 30-something's life, working, relationships, friends, extended family. But on top of all that, she is also unwillingly now a superhero, and she has to deal with all the ramifications of what that means. Jennifer Walters is your average 30-something woman. She is a working professional with a career and great friends, a very frustrating family. And she has, but on top of all this, she gets, without asking for it, she gets Hulk powers from her cousin Bruce Banner, because the two of them are in the very unique position of being in a family with two Hulks. When Jen Walters first gets her Hulk powers, she is not psyched. Just as I feel any woman in her position would probably not be psyched, because she didn't ask for it, she didn't plan for it, and it's a complication in her life. And if she could return the powers, she absolutely would, because this was not what she wanted. Jen and Nikki are ride or die best friends. They're not only work best friends because they work together, but they are outside of work, in their personal lives, best friends as well. And they, like a lot of classic friendships, they kind of are opposites, and they have very different energies that balance each other out. Jen is very much a rule follower who, is a planner. And Nikki is just a complete freewheeling, free spirit who loves to do things on impulse impulse and, follow whatever feels good and follow her gut instincts. And the two of them really balance each other out that way. Tatiana and Ginger were so good, had such wonderful chemistry. Like, they instantly felt like best friends. And they are friends outside of the show now, but, when they first met, like, instant chemistry, and they really both, understood innately, like, how important it was to portray this very, very real type of layered, realistic female friendship. And also they were so good at improvising with each other too, that I think that also kind of lended this vibe of like, oh, these are real friends just hanging out and we get to watch them. Titania is a villain that is very specific to She-Hulk in the comics. And that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to use her, because there are so many villains in the comics that She-Hulk had to share with other characters. And Titania was one of the few villains that was actually very unique to She-Hulk. On our show, she is, in our modern world, she is an influencer, which I feel like is something that a modern day villain would very easily want to harness because of the reach and also the control of narrative that you have when you are very media savvy. And just like in the comics, Titania is very, very fixated on She-Hulk for a lot of personal reasons. And she becomes kind of this bug that is constantly buzzing around She-Hulk and trying to take her down. A day in the life of a She-Hulk writer is a lot of fun and a lot of food, and then we try to fit in a little bit of work on top of that too. So our writers, we had a fantastic writing staff. We had such a fun writer's room where it really felt like cheating because we'd come in every day and just felt like we were getting paid to make each other laugh. We would mine the movies and the comics for characters and, storylines and inspiration that we wanted to use. But we also would mine each other's personal lives and personal experiences and stories to turn into content for the show. And then on top of all of that, there was the room ham, which is an entire leg of jamon serrano that we had in our writer's room. And my assistant Yusong and one of the writers, Zeb Wells, would take turns using this incredibly long knife to slice jamon serrano for everybody. And we would take ham breaks every single day in the afternoon. And that's really what kept us going. We went through 3 entire legs of jamon serrano.